Thomas could not be contained and went into the kitchen where he grabbed a butcher knife. He stabbed his father several times as he pleaded for his life, reminding his son that he was his dad and he loved him. Welcome to the True Crime Never Sleeps podcast. I am your host, Larry Lees. Today, we're continuing our Murder Monday. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Poddex, for sponsoring this episode. What is Poddex, you ask? It's a great question. Poddex are the hottest new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or gamify their podcast. Simply shuffle up, ask a question, and let the content roll. You can get yours today at poddex.com. Use the code Larry21 for 10% off your order. And now on to today's topic. Thomas Chan and his paranoid induced murder. Thomas Chan killed his father in a paranoid attack after he ate too many mushrooms. Therefore, the mushrooms made him do it. Or was it the mushrooms? The advancement of our society has led to cutting-edge treatments in the medicinal field. I'm not going to pronounce the mushrooms, known for their hallucinogenic properties, are starting to be used to treat depression. Also help people quit smoking and drinking. When used recreationally, people experience a psychedelic euphoria, but if too many are ingested, it may turn into a bad trip. Rarely does that result in violent crime. There are horrific exceptions, though. In the middle of a bad trip, Thomas Chan lost all sense of reality, and his paranoid delusions could only be contained through violence. The night. Thomas Chan was a typical 19-year-old kid. He became a rugby star in his hometown, Peterborough, Ontario, but eventually had to quit after sustaining a few concussions. They caused his academic performance to decline, but he was still able to go to college and appeared to be doing well. On December 28, 2015, Thomas joined his friends at a bar to watch hockey. While having a few drinks, the group decided to go back to Thomas' mother's house and eat mushrooms. Thomas said he had done them one other time, and it was a life-changing experience. It helped him see the world differently and bring him out of a depression. He smoked weed every day and drank a few times a week to raise his spirits, and that changed for the better after taking mushrooms. This time would be a traumatic and deadly life-changing experience. The friends passed the bag around and each of them took a handful. That is, according to Thomas. After an hour, his friends were laughing and having a good time. Thomas felt nothing besides left out, so he ate another handful. He was a fairly big guy and a muscular 6 feet tall, and thought that he might need some more because of his size. Then he went to his bedroom to meditate in an effort to make the effects kick in, which they did. Thomas started acting oddly and was extremely agitated. His friends were hoping that he'd be able to settle into a fun trip, but as more time passed, they realized that wasn't going to happen. By 2 a.m., they knew Thomas was having a bad trip. He was ranting, speaking gibberish about religion, and becoming uncontrollable. A young man ran up to his mom and stepdad's room. They were unable to comfort him as his mania increased. Thomas ran out of the house onto the snow-covered ground without shoes or a shirt. His father, Dr. Andrew Chan, and his girlfriend lived nearby. Thomas headed for his house. When he got to his father's around 3 a.m., he had to enter through a window because of the doors being locked. The security system enabled. They woke up upon hearing him. Dr. Chan attempted to subdue his son. Thomas could not be contained and went into the kitchen where he grabbed a butcher knife. He stabbed his father several times as he pleaded for his life, reminding his son that he was his dad and he loved him. His father's girlfriend looked on in horror when Thomas turned his attention and proceeded to stab her. She fled up to her bedroom and called 911. Thomas followed her, and while she was on the phone, she told him she loved him. Her pleas were not able to snap him out of his psychotic break. He slashed her shoulder and stabbed her in her right eye. He paced around the hallway and yelled, "I don't want to do this. I love you all so much. And this is a holy place." Thomas would later say in police interviews that the stuff he was yelling didn't make sense because he wasn't a religious guy. When the police arrived, he was difficult to apprehend. He possessed superhuman strength and kept pleading for them to shoot him in the head. Thomas was placed in solitary confinement where it took several hours for the mushrooms to wear off. Once they did, he was hit with the tragic realization of what he had done. And now on to the aftermath of this paranoid-induced tragedy. Thomas's father's girlfriend lost her right eye and sustained other severe injuries, but ultimately survived. Her life would never be the same. She could not work again because of the damage from the attack. Dr. Chan died from the multiple stab wounds sustained at the hands of his son. There was an extensive investigation that included hours of interviews. Nobody understood how someone who had never gotten into trouble and loved his family could become homicidal. Even with consideration to the mushrooms he ingested, this was more than a bad trip. A crucial component of the case was that Thomas was deemed fit to stand trial. His lawyer argued that because of his concussions, the mushrooms caused a bad reaction. He didn't set out to kill his father and severely injure his girlfriend, but in Canada, that didn't matter. He chose to take the drugs and therefore was responsible for the crime. There was conflicting testimony during the trial on whether his concussions made his brain more susceptible to the effects of the mushrooms. The judge ultimately did not feel there was enough proof to link his concussions to his actions. In the end, Thomas was found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 5 years in prison. He's still a young man when he was released, but faces a life full of guilt and remorse after a regretful decision made on that December night. Let us know your thoughts on this case. Do you believe he was guilty of the crime, or do you believe there was a connection between the concussions and the actions he took? Let us know on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and in the comments section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up on the video. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we will see you next time.